game is Scourge of the Reptiles. And it's a role-playing game with a tactical vibe as well. It's a retro style game, sort of 90s, 16-bit kind of look. And the story of it, basically, you start in your village with your friends and your party, and you've got to venture forth, and you've got to survive in this world full of dinosaurs. Now that's the problem. There's dinosaurs everywhere, and then you've got to use your newfound ability to make friends with dinosaurs and ride on dinosaurs, and then you get to try and solve the problems that you encounter in the world, including there's war, there's invasion, there's things like that. This is my first game, so I've got no experience previous to this in game development. But previously to this, I have been a developer for 25 years in making databases for corporations. So a little bit of experience there. But going way back, there was a time when I was in high school and I was a teenager, and I was a rabid gamer, and I just decided that I wanted to make a game. And it was going to be a top-down gauntlet type of action game, and I failed miserably because I didn't have any skills. And then in the 2000s, and I was in my 20s, and I tried again. I was going to make a PC game. It was going to be a role-playing game. It was going to have dinosaurs, and I failed miserably because I had no skills. Could not code to save my life. But eventually, after a couple of decades of coding practice, I got myself to the point where I can more easily make a game. So I've been working on it for a couple of years now. It's interesting because when you start game dev for the first time and you're making your first game, you kind of think that you just need one skill, and that's how to code. And it turns out you need about 100 umpteen million skills. Everything else in the game needs to be made too, unless you've got a team that you're working with your friends or you're working with a team, all of which have their own skills. As a solo dev, you've got to have all those skills too. You've got to have a little bit of art skill or figure it out, and you've got to have a bit of sound and audio skill or figure it out, and you've got to have story writing and level design skills and figure that out. And that's what I've been doing, because I already did know how to code, but the other parts I did not know. When you go in, you don't know how big it and how much time it's going to take. And it's exactly the same when you're writing code for businesses, because every time you estimate a task, you go, well, I think it might take me a day to do that job or a week to do that job, and you're always out by a lot. And even when you get really good at it, you're still out by a lot. So you just got to take everything that you think that it's going to take you, all the time it's going to take you, and just double it. Because this is the man cave where I'm doing my dev. So it's basically full of old computers that I've been, restoring, 80s and 90s computers. But, the concept, the genre of this game goes way back, this type of game has been around since the late 80s, and everybody knows Baldur's Gate. So, if you want to talk about what type of game this is, you can say, do you know Baldur's Gate? And everybody knows that. But going back a little bit further than that, there was some games called, they were called Gold Box games. They were Dungeons and Dragons games, and they were made in the sort of early 90s, late 80s. Pool of Radiance is the first one. And those games were the predecessors to Baldur's Gate in many ways. But most interesting to me is that they had turn-based combat. And I think that turn-based combat is so much fun because you don't have to have great reflexes, because I don't. So if you got plenty of time to think about your next action when you're playing your game, then you can get the turn right. So these games had turn-based combat, and just like tabletop D&D, you'd move your little guys around, and you'd do your attacks, and you'd defeat your enemies, and then you'd gather their treasure, and you'd get experience points for that, and then you'd progress in the story. And so that's really where this game is coming from, because it's a retro kind of tabletop experience, in terms of it being top-down and it being a grid. So when you move around, you're on a grid. In terms of having skills and a party of adventurers, and each of those party members has their own skills that they can bring to the story and help you get through problems. So it's not just about swinging your weapon and casting your magic spells. There's all sorts of things you can do in dialogue and that you can do on the map as well. I've got to admit, I love everything that I've learned so far, because game dev is just so much fun. Working on graphics is really fun. Pixel art, working on particle effects, putting together tile maps and tile sets is really fun. And, working on like editing audio files so that they sound just right and the right length and everything is fun. And, writing a story that has, like people talking to each other and having their own personalities, and, where secrets are revealed in the journal of their lives, it's really fun. Every creative element is awesome. I was surprised that, when I started seeing feedback for my game, even fully grown people were very interested in the dinosaur factor. And, maybe kids never grow up or something. But in my game, you do actually slay dinosaurs as well. The teethy ones, they're a bit scary. You do slay them, and I do get a lot of enjoyment out of that too. I hope it's okay to say that, just like killing some monsters is really fun. Now, look, if I can bring the joy of riding dinosaurs and slaying them to all the people that that are interested in that, then that's my job done. I've succeeded in what I set out to do. The goal will be achieved. It's got about probably half a year left before it's finished. So it's maybe 3/4 finished, and all that's really left to do, I've just finished Act 1 of a 3-act content of the game. So that's about 15 hours of play has built so far. And it's going to be about a 45-hour play to get through the adventure. So I've still got 2 more acts to build. It'll take me about 4 or 5 months. And then I'm just going to polish it to within an inch of its life.
Your favourite caffeinated beverage?
Well, it's coffee, obviously. Boring answer. But have you heard of an AeroPress? So it's like a French press. You push the coffee with pressure. You push it through, and the process of adding the pressure to the hot water to the ground coffee makes it steep quicker. So you can get your coffee in like a really good blend in like a minute instead of 5. Yeah, so AeroPress, that's the way to go. Highly recommend you should get one. They're only about $30.